And I just realized we forgot in our discussion, we forgot to go over the 10th fundamental, the masail, or the subjects under the subjects that the fiqh addresses, the various subheadings that come under fiqh. In general, they can be divided into two things: al-ibadat wal-mu'amalat. So the aspects of worship and aspects of transactions with other people. Basically, one way to view this is to see it as number one, aspects of worship is that which is between you and Allah. Number two, aspects of transaction is that which is between you and other people. So the things between you and Allah, and the things between you and the rest of creation. Those can be further broken down into a few key categories. So if we just take a look at the table of contents for this book, Al-Fiqh ala al-madhahib al-arba'a, fiqh according to the four legal schools, then the subheadings under al-ibadat are tahara, so purification, salah, siyam, zakah, hajj. So basically going through the five pillars. Often fiqh books will start with creed. As we mentioned, one of the other names for theology is al-fiqh al-akbar, or the greater fiqh. And so going off of thinking about the five pillars, the first pillar being the shahada, the testimony of faith. Often elements of faith are put in the beginning of fiqh books, and then they'll go through the rest of the five pillars. So first, the purification, so what one has to do to prepare oneself for prayer, and then the second pillar, prayer, then fasting, charity, zakat, and the hajj, pilgrimage. Then we have hadar wal ibaha, so what's forbidden and what's permitted and forbidden foods, drinks, things like that. And then we have the subheadings under the mu'amalat, the transactions with other people. We have al-yamin, so how to make oaths and break oaths and everything to do with oaths. Al-bay', which is business transactions. And nikah, so marriage law, family law, basically talaq, divorce law. And hudud, which is the punishments for crimes, basically. And that gets us into rules around politics. Because a lot of people have a misunderstanding. I mean, first of all, when we hear about people saying stuff about Sharia law these days, passing laws in the South against Sharia law, what people have been tricked into thinking is that Sharia is just about these arcane punishments that we hear about. So cutting the hand off the thief, stoning someone for adultery, and that kind of thing. Those punishments are part of our tradition, but it's, as with everything else, it's important to understand, to really put those in context. In terms of these, first of all, we don't have any vigilante justice in Islam. And so any kind of punishments necessitates, as prerequisites to them, is a sound legal system, and really a sound political system, which, to be honest, hasn't really happened since just a few decades after the Prophet ﷺ. After that, the political system became corrupt, and so in many different ways, we don't have to explain away whatever happened under so-called Muslim countries or Muslim empires and caliphates and that kind of thing, in terms of a political view. But traditionally there were specific punishments for specific actions. This is part of Sharia. Of course, Sharia, as we mentioned, is much more than that. But this is part of Sharia when we're talking about the realm of politics and the realm of communal punishments. When you have a sound Islamic legal system, which we don't have today, really doesn't really exist anywhere in the world today, an ethical, sound Islamic legal system built on sound scholarship and sound scholars, sound legal scholars. But you will still find in the fiqh books, in a detailed fiqh book, the last section will be about the punishments and how to understand them. And ultimately, like if we have questions about that, one of the most basic ways to understand it is it all comes back to maslahah, all comes back to the benefit of society. So if in a given society a specific punishment that the Prophet recommended for a specific crime, if that no longer serves its purpose of making society more secure and increasing justice and equity in society, then the reason for using that punishment is removed, such as happened in the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, may God be pleased with him, the second Caliph of Islam. He suspended the punishment of stealing because he noticed that a lot of people were in poverty and so were stealing out of need. So it was no longer just to punish stealing so much, because people were just stealing because they needed to survive, which is an important thing to understand. All comes back to benefit, to the public good, essentially, the maslahah. So those are generally the topics, that 10th part, the 10th foundation of fiqh topics that fall into fiqh.